Okay, so it's official. I suck at making these videos. This is try number 4. And as you can see, this is almost done because I've messed up. All right, so what I do is I take my napkin. Here's a napkin. This one's roses, which is really fun. That's a real pretty one. This one's a flower one. This one's a little bigger, so I'm going to show you how to do this. What I normally do is I cut out all my pieces out of my napkin first. Get them in. There's a butterfly. Get that out of there. This one, you could actually cut this whole thing out and use it as one piece on here. A little more difficult to do. It's doable. People do it all the time. It just takes a little more time. So I'm going to cut out around this. And I'll have this piece. And actually, I'm going to cut this out. So I have, this is a bigger piece. You could cut each individual out. You could actually do this. Take it along there. And you could have that piece. You just kind of look and see where it is you want things. Mod Podge is great because it covers up mistakes. And I think that's why I like it so well. I know a lot of people are talking about the lines, and you know that goes to say in all paint projects, no matter what you're doing, you can, you know, fight with lines. That's why I like doing things like sponge painting, Mod Podging, spackling, all that kind of stuff, because I don't have to be exact. And I am not exact in doing things. So when you're cutting these out, you don't want to separate your layers. Like I've said before, napkins come in 2 and 3 layers. This particular one is a 2-layer, and all I do is I pull this apart like this. You don't even have to do that. You'll just get a little thicker piece on there, and depending on what you're putting this on, if I was putting something on solid glass, I would get to the very thinnest layer. That's the look I like, but it really just depends on what look you're going for. I kept my leaves out separate, not all the time, but a lot of times. And then I can place the leaves wherever I want on my project. So there's a leaf. These little brown things, you can either cut those out and make yourself crazy putting them on your project, or you can buy brown felt pins, or you know, art pins. You can take a little fine tipped paintbrush like this one, and then you can paint little stems on there after you're done, or you can cut the stems out. It just takes a little bit longer. I don't color in the lines all the time, and I don't cut on the lines. I just kind of cut. I'm going to take, like, I'll take that and cut that out of there. Just pull it like that, clean it up. So anyway, so I will take, usually I get all my pieces, separate them all, I have a pile of them, and then go from there on my art project. So I just want to show you how I cut them out. You do not have to be precise on this. I mean, you can if you want, but boy, you sure don't have to. So then, where are my glasses? I cannot see. I really hope this is taping, because this is going to be the 4th time I did this. My nephew's a film person and producer, and I think he's going to have to give me some tips. Tips for Aunt Tracy, because she's not too good at this. So there we go. I got that one apart. So there's a couple of them. There's a leaf. I like lots of green in my flowers, so I would normally do a whole bunch of leaves. And you can, you know, you could take leaves. You can mix and match flowers. You can do whatever you want. Art's awesome. There are no mistakes. You know, at least I just like to really let people know that your imagination is There's no mistakes. See, now this piece is going to drive me crazy. Whoops. Got that one. There we go. So napkins have bumpies on the sides, and that's what keeps the tissue paper together. So like this piece is coming apart. That's 2-ply. It's a cheaper napkin. You can only, if you don't want those bumps in your pattern, you can take your pattern, cut your patterns out of the middle. I think it's a waste. So depending on my project, like putting it on these crackle ones, you're getting bumps in your stuff anyway because of the crackle. So I don't think a few bumps from your napkin is any big deal. So what we're going to do here first is you want to have your water. I have done this so long that I can use a paintbrush for my water and for my Mod Podge at the same time. But I would suggest if you're just starting these, have a paintbrush for your water and use a different paintbrush for your Mod Podge, because the thing you want to do when you start these is you want to get your surface wet with water, not with Mod Podge. I don't do it with Mod Podge, because if you put water, you get this wet. See, I scratch that. That's all right. If you get this wet, it's easier to slide around your napkin on it. If you put Mod Podge on first, it's got to go on good the first time. And I'm not that good. So now I'm just going to stick this right there like that. It's wet and I'm putting it down. I can take a little bit more water and I can get it a little wet on top, move it around. The reason I do that first and not the Mod Podge is because then I can move this. Now see, this surface is really bumpy because of the what it is. I got a little speck of something there, so I'll take that off. So just take your finger, and you can even get your finger wet, and just kind of move it around to exactly how you want it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with a few bumps. I'm good with that. So that's kind of on there pretty good. So then you would take your Mod Podge and just paint right over it like that. You see some spots, so just take your finger and go like that. Put it over there. I always put a couple coats, and I go back and look at it after a minute or two, because sometimes paper likes to crinkle up a little bit, and so I would just put that one right there and get it wet. You're gonna have to figure out where you want to put blush you on it, if you're making blushy jars or best mom, whatever you want to do. I go right over the writing. So I'm gonna stick, where am I gonna stick this? Let's see. Let's put that. That can go over that leaf. That doesn't matter. Let's put that right there. So I'm going to put that right there. Put a little water on it. Actually, it's got a little Mod Podge. That's all right. I get my finger wet. I'm just going to kind of smooth it out. Get those air bubbles out of there. It's okay if one goes over the other. Nothing wrong with that. Now, when I'm doing a big project, I will put 2 or 3 pieces on just with water and come back and put Mod Podge over it. If I'm doing a small project let me say that again. If I do a large project, I will put 2 or 3 pieces on with water and then come back and Mod Podge over it. You don't want to do too many at a time, because it'll dry up and then you got to do the water process all over again and they'll start coming up. With this one, I'll put 1 or 2 on also and then go back over with the Mod Podge. And so now I'm going to go over that one like so. I love Mod Podge. It's so forgiving. Gosh, I made a lot of mistakes on this particular one. It's when I was putting too many together too fast. So then here's my leaf, and this one has the backing on it still. I can take that off, or you can leave it on. It doesn't really matter. Usually if I'm having a hard time getting these apart. I'll take a needle or something and separate it, or maybe an X-Acto knife and just go in between them. There you go, just enough to separate. Now my hands are sticky, so that's not good. Oh bueno. Anyway, well, you can take it apart, or you can just put it on like so. I'm not going to mess with it right now. I hate long videos that people are babbling on, so I'm not going to babble. So you can put that right there. You can put it anywhere you want. Once you have a couple of coats on, I'm going to stick some leaves right there because I can tell I messed up there. Once you put a couple of coats on, then you can put your vinyl on, or you can save a spot. See this? They'll slide around on there, which is great. I don't want it there, and you slide it here. And you can put it right over another piece. There we go. I always put white paper down because then I can make a big mess. So I'm going to go back and look, and this needs a lot more leaves on it, and I'm going to put some flowers down here. That is about it. That's all you have to do, and then let it dry and put another coat on it, and then put your vinyl on it. And some people put Mod Podge over their vinyl, some people don't. Just depends on what project I'm doing. This is another one that is done with a recipe book that I tore everything up. It's not finished yet. I love doing projects like that. You can take pages from newspapers or whatnot. It's just another look. People were talking about, and I told you that I used a matte on this. I didn't. I looked at the sheen, and it is not. This one actually needs another coat. I used the luster on this one, but from a distance, it looks more matte. This one also has the sheen on it, but again, it looks more matte with the crackle and whatnot from a distance. I am not sure why some people's paint is scratching up. Like this right here has nothing on it but just the paint, and it doesn't scratch at all. So I think it must be the brand of people's paint that they're using, because the stuff I make doesn't seem to scratch, and I'll do a video on that. So I wouldn't even have to put a coat of anything on it if I just put writing on there. I don't like using extra stuff if you don't need to, but I'm a cheap crafter. So anyway, that's how you do that. If you have any questions, holler.